Blackscreen, episode 12. 13, I mean, 13. God damn, I messed it up already. Blackscreen, episode 13. We're back. We're back in black. It's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since I've been here. I am so sorry for that. A lot of stuff has happened. I've been doing a lot of things. And I'm actually working on a really, really big project. Not gonna say what it is. If you're part of the Patreon, however, you probably know what it is. So if you want to figure out what that thing is, then join my Patreon up for $1. Tier 1 unlocks everything. And yeah, also another thing, I have a music channel now, Mr. Black. It's in the description, and if it's not, then I will put it there. It's also in the channel homepage as well. You can find it there. I will be posting. I moved all my music from Rumble all the way to a second channel because I thought it would be better that way. So yeah, I did that. Music, Patreon, massive projects. Working on the novel as well. So stay tuned for that. I will be posting updates on Patreon when there are any. Serena says, "Are you supermaxing today?" Yes, I am actually. I am supermaxing. We're aura farming, as the kids say nowadays. We are aura farming, right? Like Superman. We're aura farming. Yeah, today's episode, we are here gathered once again in the chapel of Snyder to honor our Lord and Savior, Zachary Edward Snyder. He is our Messiah, our cinematic Messiah, of course, and we all pray to him and give him thanks to the Snyder, for he is good, for his slow-mo endures forever. And yeah, no, we love him. We love him here. We love Snyder. Not because his movies are good. No, they are good, actually. No, they are absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely. Absolutely. They're good. They're great. They're cinematic masterpieces, obviously. We love him here. And I thought, it's been a while since we had another Snyder video and a Snyder stream. So I thought, okay, well, today we're going to be doing that. Now, today is May 9th. And as you all know, it is Dune Day. May thy 9th chip and shatter. But because the last 2 weeks have been so hectic for me and I was burnt out, I didn't want to do another Blackscreen episode. So I didn't. But we are back by non-popular demand. See, consistency is key. So today we're going to be covering a video where a guy named Unorthodox is talking about how we, yes, you and I, misunderstand Superman. Now, we as acolytes of the heavenly slow-mo King Snyder himself, we understand Superman better than anyone, right? We understand Superman because Snyder understands Superman, because Snyder is the blueprint, obviously. And so before we begin, we must say our Snyder prayers. As Sea Monster puts it, "Our Father who art in slow-mo, Snyder be thy name, thy kingdom come." No. You gotta do it right. You gotta do it right. I know that I can't believe I didn't download it. Why didn't I download it? I should have had this at the very beginning. I am so dumb. I am so dumb. I'm going to fix that right now. In the meantime, yeah, I'm just gonna talk over. So this will be a solo stream. I wanted to have my buddy, my pal, my compadre, my fellow Latinx. It just made my skin crawl. Braden here. Couldn't make it. Sad, I know, but it's the nature of the business. He can't control it. I can't control it. It is what it is. But hopefully he gets to enjoy this sermon that I have, that me as the Snyder Pope, obviously I am the Snyder Pope. I receive the words of Snyder directly from him through divine Snyderation, right? And so, like, I am the authority when it comes to these kinds. I am the Snyder authority. So I feel equipped, entitled to talk about this subject because we all love him here, right? We all love him for everything that he's done for Hollywood. I mean, you've never seen anybody do it like Snyder has. You've never seen it. And it's for a reason. It's because he is Scorsese incarnate, right? He is the son of Scorsese, right? Me when I'm marriage maxing with my wife and she is pregnancy maxing my chud son, but my incredibly handsome bro tells me to come to the casino to money max, so I low genuinely mog my wife and leave. Snyder. No. It's not wife. It's wedding oomph, right? It's wedding or wedding moot. That's how you call it. Snyder understands the meaning of life. It's why all his movies are so life changing. Exactly. Have you guys ever seen those videos where it's like, oh, the Snyder cut changed my life? What kind of movie changes your life as much as Snyder's? No, none. Like Marvel over there is doing their little retard kiddie movies while Snyder is making biblical stories. Like he's making modern myths. You must understand. He's making modern myths. And as the Snyder Pope, it is my duty to impart your monthly dose of Snyder gospel, right? So that is what I'm here to do today, and I'm here to correct some misconceptions of the cult of Snyder, which is a sectarian denomination of the mainline, Church of Snyder, right? The Snyder cult is actually a heretical group of the Church of Snyder, right? That's why they're called a cult, right? We had a major schism back in 2017, I think it was, or was it 2019? From 2017, okay, it was a multi-year-long schism that lasted from 2017 to 2021, and then there was a secondary schism, right? When James Gunn's Superman came out, that was back last year. So we had a secondary. So now we have Snyder apostates. They're like Snyder apostates, right? And they profess that James Gunn is the actual Messiah, right? The actual cinematic Jesus. And we can't have that kind of heresy here. We profess the name of Snyder in this house. So, yeah. Godzilla -1 changed my life because it made me realize Godzilla movies could be good, which was a revolutionary concept for me. Yeah, see, but it wasn't mythical, right? It wasn't. When was the last time you've ever seen Godzilla T-posing over the sun, like, Jesus being crucified? When's the last time you've seen that? I don't think you've ever seen that, ever. James Gunn is a heretic who knows not what Snyder makes Superman. James Gunn is a heretic who knows not what Snyder makes Superman great the way Snyder does. English. But yeah, no, if the sentiment is that James Gunn is the actual Antichrist, because that's what he is. James Gunn, his Superman is Antichrist. Not like capital A. Because it's not Snyder. You must understand, it's not clicking for you. You're not getting it. You have to understand. This, the church, capital C church of Snyder, will not tolerate these heretical views. I mean, Snyder did not come here to bring peace but a sword, so we're not pacifists, right? But us are the Snyder Church. I need to come up with a better name. I need to come up with a way better name than that. But yeah, it's true. Snyder's films did change my life. I can't tell you why, but it did for sure. Listen, ever since I accepted Snyder into my heart and became ever. Sorry, this is serious. This is serious. There will be no laughter. There will be no laughter, no joy here. This is serious. ever since I accepted Snyder into my heart, I have been seeing reality in slow motion. This allows me to experience every facet of life down to a microscopic. I'm talking like an electron microscope level. I can see atoms. I can actually see atoms and molecular structures and atomic binding, the nuclei, quarks, gluons, photons. I can see it traveling through space. I can physically see time, right? And this is something that watching Snyder does. Like, you are just enlightened. You are a completely different person when you watch his movies and believe in Snyder. He who believes in Snyder will be saved. And he who does not believe in Snyder will be torn to shreds by a pack of wild dogs. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. I am a priest for Snyderiety. Snyderianity. Yeah. 98 was Holy Mary, that's canon. They say it in the movie. Are I don't know which 98. You mean Superman 98 or Godzilla 98? I don't know which one you're talking about. Me when I'm low genuinely Snyder maxing allowing me to slow motion my vision to see what numbers I need to score at the casino. True, true, true. Yeah. This is Snyderianity promotes gambling. I think you should gamble. It's how you show your devotion, right? You have to tithe to the house because the house always has the edge. The house is always edging, right? I should have that. I should have that clip downloaded. Um, Chat is great. Chat is amazing today. I love chat now. Uh, Lee Cronin. Oh, Lee Cronin. Okay. Sucker Punch was wild, did not great in a traditional sense, but certainly fascinating. You know, one of my biggest sins, I have to confess, I have to come clean because this is weighing on my soul, and I will go to the house of James Gunn if I, which is a type of hell. I will go to the house of James Gunn if I don't confess this sin. I have never seen Sucker Punch. I know, like this is a grave sin that I have committed. I am so sorry. I repent of this sin. But nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect, right? We all this is a Snyder forgives. Snyder knows how to forgive because he is good. For his slow-mo endures forever. Much like he is slow to tell stories, he is slow to anger, right? It says it in the book of it says it in the book what's the name of it says it in the book of Goyer, chapter 7 verse 12. Yeah? The there's the book Goyer in the Snyder Bible. In the Snyder Bible. Right there. Yeah. I'm always edging for Snyder's films. Right? Right? Listen. The only way to ethically goon is if you watch Snyder. Right? I recommend 300. uh, you need to repent. That's right. You need to repent now. I know. I will repent, and my penance is watching Superman 2025 at 0.25 speed. That's my penance. That I impose upon myself as the Snyder Pope. A, the Snyder Pope has to punish himself like that. And I will return briefly. All right. Returned. I have returned. I needed to, prostrate myself before the icon of Snyder that I have printed down in my wall, right? I haven't seen Sucker Punch either, nor have I seen Rebel Moon. Repent, Sea Monster. You need to repent. You need to watch those movies now, right? Me, the Snyder Pope. I will not accept that. I will not tolerate that. You need to watch those movies right now. Yeah, Snyder was knocking. Exactly. Snyder is knocking at the door of your heart. You need to let him in. You need to let him into your heart, right? I am a filthy sinner, and I have not watched Sucker Punch, but I am the Snyder Pope, so I must impose authority upon myself that Snyder himself has granted to me, and must punish myself for my own sin. Because I am just that humble, right? I am just so humble. You cannot fathom my humility. You cannot fathom my devotion to Snyder, right? You cannot understand it. It's not clocking to you. It's not entering your mind. It's not, you don't understand it. You don't get it. You just don't get it. You cannot fathom it. My mind works in dimensions that you just simply can't comprehend. And it's all thanks to Snyder. Blessed be Zack Snyder. Now, repent. He is the one who knocks. That is very true. That is very true. On Snyder. In the name of the Snyder, the Goyim, and the Deborah Snyder. Yeah. Now that everything is ready, we must say our Snyder prayers. We must say it. We must say our Snyder prayers. We have to. It is mandatory that every time we invoke his name, we have to do the Snyder prayer. It's mandatory. I'm sorry. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. So, everyone, bow your heads and hold on. Okay. Everyone, bow your heads.
Our Snyder in DC.
Hold on. Hold on. There we go. All right. Now, bow your heads, everyone. Clap your hands together. Let us pray.
Our Snyder in DC. Zachary be thy name. Let thy director's cut come, thy vision be done, on earth as it is in DC. Give us this day our daily slow-mo, and forgive us our criticisms, as we behead those that criticize against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from James Gunn. Amen.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, the microphone. It wasn't working. Okay, now it works. All right, cool. Uh, I goon to Gahool. Gahoon. No man or woman is without sin in the house of Snyder, but the Holy One forgives so long as one repents. He may be strict, but he is just. He is fair. That is so true. So true.
Our Snyder indeed.
Hold on. No, Minecraft World, hello. You have missed the Snyder prayer. You must repent for this grave sin that you have committed. You are entering the house of Snyder unclean, right? But there will be many. You are forgiven this sin temporarily. So, we're going to watch a Snyder cultist completely butcher completely misunderstand what Snyder is all about. So we need to come up with a slur for these kinds of people that don't understand the magnitude of his genius, right? We need to come up with a slur. um anyway, so video by a guy named Unorthodox talking about how we don't actually understand Snyder. Let us actually begin, and enough with the LARPing. Anyway.
And you know what?
Oh, no
I really
audio. Hold
like
on.
all of these
I
versions
forgot.
of Superman.
Hold on.
I
Sorry.
personally
My
think
bad. My
Christopher
bad. My
Reeve's
bad. Sorry. Sorry. No audio. No audio. Okay. Let's start again from the top.
Zack Snyder made me love Superman. Now, over the past few days, I've been rewatching most of the Superman movies. You name them: Superman 1, 2, 3, the Zack Snyder movies, and Superman 2025. And you know what? I really like all of these versions of Superman. I personally think Christopher Reeves is the best adaptation because he captured the Superman persona to a T and was literally a walking embodiment of the word hope.
Would you like a glass of wine?
No thanks. I never drink when I fly.
Not the clip I would have used, but I mean, yeah, that is quite true so far. I remember when I last watched Christopher Reeve Superman. I think it was like a few months ago. I think it was this year actually. I liked it a whole lot more than I thought I was gonna like it. I think this was okay, there's a depth to the goodness that Superman has in that movie that I haven't really like. It didn't really click for me because I watched these movies as a kid, like the all four movies. I watched them all as a kid, and I remember the first one and the second one and the fourth one, not the third one. Unless I'm confusing the fourth one with the third one. If anybody knows in chat, which movie was the one where Superman fights him? Okay, Clark Kent fights an evil Superman, and I'm not talking about Bizarro. I'm talking about so he splits his personality, and then he fights himself. Does anybody know which movie that was? I don't know. I don't remember if that was Superman 4 or Superman 3. Just yeah, just if anybody knows in the chat, please tell me. Would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, when we get to the scene where he is he muted? No, I'm not muted, and he isn't muted. OBS says he's not talking right now. So with Superman, right? The original, the Christopher Reeves movie. When he gets to the Fortress of Solitude, we get a depth to the goodness that Superman has, and that Superman is supposed to embody. And Jor-El helps him portray, not portray, embody that through, his actions, his teachings. He has a whole bunch of lessons that he has for him, and like, you must not influence history, that kind of thing. There's a depth to it, right? The language that he uses, it almost sounds biblical in a way. And I think that's where the comparisons between Superman and Jesus could have originated from, or maybe that's always been the case. Because Superman does have those messianic attributes in that sense. So I'm thinking, like, this is like a whole lot deeper than I thought it was. It's not that Superman is a goody two shoes altogether, like with no rhyme or reason. Like, there's an actual depth to it. There's a profundity. I can't explain it really well because it's been a while since I've seen the Christopher Reeves movie, but for anybody that hasn't seen it, I would recommend it just for that scene with Jor-El. I think it's really good. Alex Gomez says, I think that's the third one. Probably. And I know there was one film where we got to see, I think it was either Bizarro Superman or, I don't know, some weird creature with a metal mask or a stone mask or a stone face. I don't remember what it was. It was very geometric. I remember seeing it as a kid, and it scared me. It terrified me. So much so that I changed the channel every so often just to see if the scene had finished yet, but it hadn't. I was just still terrified. Oh man. But yeah, I have very fond memories watching the Christopher Reeve Superman movies as a kid. But yeah, this one's good.
I also really like James Gunn's take on Superman. Oren Sweat plays Superman with that very humble yet goofy and charming persona, which makes him feel like he's human before he's Kryptonian.
Super shit? Come on, Lois. You know that one specifically irritates me.
So he's human, and then he puts on a scene where he just gets mad that someone calls him super shit. Like not super spy, which I would argue would be something that he would be more inclined to be upset about, because it implies malice, where which is, you know, not what he's trying to. He's not a malicious person, so it almost alienates him in a way. When you call him super spy, it has very negative, sinister implications. Whereas super shit is just a playground taunt, and I'm just okay. Why is that the one that upsets you? I don't know why that's the one that upsets you. Sea Monster says a woman gets turned into some weird cyborg thing in Superman 3. Oh, that's the one? Okay. Because that's the one with the kryptonite, right? That's the one when the kryptonite is introduced, and whenever Superman is around the kryptonite, he starts acting irresponsibly, and then he gets weakened over time. Yeah. He also, I think he also becomes an alcoholic temporarily. It's weird. Anyway.
But after rewatching Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, Henry Cavill's depiction is still by far the most unique adaptation we've gotten and most misunderstood take on the character. So in this video, we're going to take a look at how Zack Snyder's reinterpretation of Superman ultimately ended up being, in my opinion, one of the best iterations we'll ever see, and my favorite version of the character.
Don't like it when people feel the need to constantly say "in my opinion" over everything. Just stand by what you say as a fact, dude. You don't have to shield yourself with the preemptive "it's just my opinion" thing. Like, you don't have to do that. I don't know. It's just like whenever people say that, it just comes across as insecure. I don't know. Some people do it out of habit though, so I'm not gonna assume that this guy's insecure. I don't think he is. It's just that whenever I see people use that phrase, a lot of times does come from rather insecure people, but you know, it doesn't always apply to everyone. But you know, the pattern recognition, you know, some people just say it out of instinct, you know what I mean? But when you say it a lot, you know, you start to make connections in your head, you know what I mean? Let's continue.
Well, coming out in the Dark Knight era, I would like to say it wasn't a surprise we were getting a darker and grounded take on Superman, especially as Sony went the same path with The Amazing Spider-Man. But honestly, it was still a really big shot because Superman is the primary superhero you associate with bright colors, cheerful vibes, and his movies always evoke overwhelming positive feelings.
You could say the same about Spider-Man, but whatever.
I can't tell you how many times I smiled seeing Christopher Reeve's Superman save the day accompanied by the iconic Superman theme. But Zack Snyder changed up the whole formula. He essentially stripped away the comic book feel that is usually mandatory with Superman media and put Superman in the real world.
Mandatory? What about... I haven't seen the Brandon Routh movie, but I'm almost certain that there's no like comic book, you know, isms in that one from the scenes that I have seen. I mean, I've seen a couple. I mean, I think Superman stalks Lois at one point. He saves a plane. I've seen that scene. Lex Luthor steals kryptonite and wants to build like some sort of enterprise, like or I don't know, get an island or something. I don't know what Lex Luthor wants. I don't remember any comic bookiness in the scenes that I have seen in Superman Returns, because like again, I haven't seen the movie, but I don't remember any comic bookiness. I don't think it's mandatory necessarily, just as long as you have the premise down. Like the basic premise. I mean, if it's comic booky, sure. If that's what he's referring to, I think that might be what he's referring to. I'm just gonna assume that it is. She Monster says yes. Superman drinking in the bar and acts like an abusive alcoholic in 3. Okay. All right. then I guess I didn't actually watch Superman 4 then. Because I was almost convinced that the one that I watched was Superman 4 and that was the one, but then okay, no. Yeah, no.
Common misconception is that Clark Kent in these movies is moody or aura farming. I've always
That's a misconception. He's not aura farming right here.
found those statements kind of nonsensical because they completely miss the premise of this iteration of Superman. Henry Cavill plays Clark Kent and Superman like a man who's constantly got the weight of the world on his shoulders, which makes complete sense when you consider that from a young age he's bullied, had to mask who he is, he's told not to do the right thing in order to keep his own safety.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Maybe.
And
Okay, so he has the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he's constantly told not to save people and not to expose himself for who he truly is because people will be scared of him. That premise alone, like the premise of, oh, you have to hide yourself, that's good. That's fine as a premise. And then you go, oh, because people will be afraid of you. That's also fine. But the problem here is that Superman's alien nature is emphasized so much in this movie that you barely see his humanity. I can count on one hand how many times we've seen Superman's humanity. The first time is when Clark goes to meet Martha, and she goes, I was afraid that they'll take you away from me. He goes, I'm not going anywhere, Ma. The second show of humanity that I've seen from him, which is probably the most amount of humanity, that's the second time it's actually really minuscule. So he drinks root beer and watches a football game. That, I think that's the second one. You could say saving people is like a display of humanity, but the reason I don't count that is because it's the bare minimum for superheroes. They should save people. That's the superhero starter pack. That doesn't count. It's the foundation. It's where you start, right? So it does show humanity, but what actually tells you that a character has humanity is not just the fact that he saves people, it's why he saves people. Because, for example, Homelander saves people in season 1 because it makes him look good and people worship him for it, and he wants worship, he wants love and adoration. And I mean, you could technically call him a hero because he saved people, but he's doing it for selfish, self-interested reasons. So that's why I say that saving people is the bare minimum, because the motivation for saving people is what matters. And right now our motivation to save people is just, I mean, you got the basic moral compass, sure, but then it's not followed through consistently. I mean, Jonathan Kent tells that Clark should have let the kids die, which is insanity. Of course, he continues to save people, obviously, but then later as the movie progresses, and the scales escalate, guess what happens next? Oh, the scene where he saves the man from Feora, which is attacking. No, actually, no, not that one. It's the scene where he rescues a guy from a falling helicopter. He goes, "Are you okay?" He says, "Yeah." And then this guy, the strong guy, his name is Namek, by the way. Nam-ek. That's his name, Namek. Like the planet Namek. He gets attacked by him, and then the soldier just like stays there, and he just disappears from the scene. Like, he just no longer exists the second the camera cuts away from him. And then a few shots after that, the military men, the soldiers, are firing at each other while they're trying to hit both Namek and Superman. So, first of all, why are you shooting Superman? They think he's an enemy, but he's actively fighting the Kryptonians. So, like, I don't know, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense why you're still trying to engage all targets when he's actively trying to save your men. But then you're shooting at each other and Superman does nothing about it. He just keeps trying to fight Namek in the city, not trying to push him away. I mean, he punches him into a bunch of trains when he and a few scenes earlier when he's fighting Feora Ul, they fight inside an IHOP and he doesn't try to lead the fight away from the IHOP. Everything, like the start from the very start of the fight in Kansas. Actually, no, he drives the fight towards a populated area. And people's typical excuses, oh, he was angry. Oh, he was, in a rage because Zod threatened his mother, which, I mean, it was a dumb decision, but whatever. Because Zod is evil, whatever. Superman, in his rage, not only drives the fight towards a populated area, but he keeps it there. And he's actually, taunting Zod. He's like, oh, I bet it hurts, doesn't it, right? You're getting everything. I hold my senses, you didn't, and it hurts, doesn't it? It's like a very sadistic thing for Superman to say. Like he's taking pleasure in Zod's suffering, which is the most sadistic thing I've ever seen Superman do in this movie, probably, besides, killing all those children. Yeah. Good thing it wasn't in a Waffle House. No, if it wasn't a Waffle House, it'd be completely justified, actually. If it was in a Waffle House, like there's no intelligent life in Waffle House. No, I've been to a Waffle House in I think it was near Key West, and there was this one guy. It took him like an hour to serve us, and everybody, all his coworkers were women, by the way. They were all like, calling him out for it. Like, yeah, no, dude, what are you doing? Like, serve these people. And he's just like taking his sweet time, not doing anything, just loitering about, not doing anything. He gets pissed off. He's like, oh my god, bro, leave me alone, bro. He's like, yeah, no, the Waffle House experience is a very unique one. Never a normal day in a Waffle House. That's why I think it should have been there. And could you imagine if Superman was raised in Florida? Just imagine a Floridian Superman. That'd be crazy. But yeah, the premise itself that he's positing, the guy in the video, doesn't work all too well from the very foundation, and we'll recap why.
Kind of nonsensical because they completely missed this iteration of Superman. Henry Cavill plays Clark Kent and Superman like a man who's constantly got the weight of the world, which makes complete sense when you consider that from a young age he's bullied, had to mask who he is, he's told not to do the right thing in order to keep his own safety.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Yeah, just let him die. Also, another thing to consider is the scene in when Zod shows up and he goes to the church and talks to the priest, and he goes like, should I save humanity? Where has this... No, he says Zod can't be trusted, but then he goes, oh, I don't think humanity should be either. Why? Okay, so we don't actually see much of the humanity beyond the basics of just saving people, right? Not a whole lot. Nothing. I would argue nothing. Yeah, beyond just what we see on the surface that is supposed to be seen when you are making a superhero movie. But then you get the scene with the priest, and he goes like, people of humanity, I don't think I can trust them any more than I can trust Zod. Which, dude, what? Like, okay, people are afraid of what they don't understand. His main concern is that people will be afraid of him. My question is, what could they possibly do to you? Why is he? My question: why does he care so much what people think of him? Now, there could be answers to those questions, like, oh, he feels insecure, or oh, he cares what people think about him because, well, he likes people. He generally likes people. He likes to be around people. He likes to be around people. He enjoys their company and he loves them. That's not in the movie. We don't see that. And I think an extroverted, cheerful, bubbly person like Clark, like traditional Clark, you could probably justify it with that version of Clark, but he's just introverted, moody, doesn't talk to anyone. You remember that scene in the bus where he gets bullied by Dick Splash? The fat guy, the fat kid from the IHOP that works at the IHOP. He grows up to work at the IHOP. Like he's just staring out at a window, just, you know, being all cool and mysterious. And then like the girl looks at him like, oh, he's so cute. Oh my god. It's so funny. But you see that scene. He's not interacting with anybody. He's all alone, not talking to anybody. We don't see him actually try and be social. In fact, as a kid, he's seen as a freak. And he hears everybody talk about him like that. It's like, okay, but like, why does he care? Why does he care that what people think of him? He's all powerful. He is unkillable. And you ever wonder, right? What happened in the scenes we didn't get to see? Like, we only get the scenes that reinforce his alienhood, if you will. We only get those scenes that reinforce how alien he is, how powerful he is, but none of them were that establishes his love for humanity, right? Like he just general kindness. Like when a woman is getting harassed, he tells the guy to leave her alone, or I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. And then he does something absolutely psychotic and just impales the truck with a bunch of logs. It's like downright psychotic behavior. No one sees it, no one hears it, no one comments on it. He just does it. Which, yeah, that really does show that he cares about humanity and he cares with what people think. It's inconsistent. On one moment you'll be like, okay, well, he cares about humanity, and then another moment he'll just completely abandon it. He'll say, oh, he's superhuman. Oh, but actually he's wrathful. It doesn't mesh. You know what I mean? There's no synergy between that, right? It's between Superman's love for humanity and Superman's wrath. Like, there is no synergy. It just happens. Alex says maybe Superman was supposed to seem detached in a divine way. No, but see, even then, because the comparison is the comparison is whenever you're talking about this Superman, if you're talking about archetypes, he's like, okay, Superman, if Superman is supposed to represent Jesus in a way, right? James Gunn's Superman is supposed to, it focuses on the man, while Zack Snyder focuses on the God, while Superman is supposed to be a balance in between the God man, right? Because Jesus would be the God man in this case. Thing is, however, that God himself is not a detached being. He's a highly personal one. So, because God is a personal being, so much so that he took upon human nature to abide amongst humans, died for them, and offered them a chance of salvation, the archetype doesn't work with Superman because he is detached. So when you focus exclusively on the God and negate the man, you run into the problem, okay, well, he's no longer a God man. He's just God LARPing as a man. You know what I mean? So it doesn't work. There's no synergy between the God man aspect of Superman here. It doesn't work. He, especially with all the wrathful things he does, he acts more like a pagan god than a god in the Christian sense, which is ironic because he is portrayed as the Christian god. Right? He does the Jesus T-pose. In the church, we see an icon of him, a Catholic icon of him plastered behind him. He hovers over people like a god, and yeah, like in Batman v Superman, he Lex Luthor goes, I don't believe in God, so I'm gonna kill you. Or just the average Reddit atheist, you know what I mean? So, like, oh, if God real, why bad thing happen? Which, I mean, the basic premise of that argument, if God is real, why bad thing happen, automatically assumes that suffering is an inherent evil. Which, ironically enough, what we define as suffering. Sometimes a lot of it is arbitrary. A lot of it is not. A lot of it is like objective suffering, but a lot of it, another is like, you know, it's not that it's wrong. It's that it's a lot of it is subjective. Like when you stub your toe, or when you go to boot camp in the army, like you technically you do suffer, but guess what happens? You grow. I mean, even if in evolution, right? Environmental pressures that could get a lot of species killed due to like the laws of natural selection, those sufferings actually help strengthen the species and help them evolve. So in a way, suffering does actually have a purpose, right? So it automatically, the assumption why God is real, why bad thing happen, automatically assumes that suffering is an inherent evil, when it's just an amoral thing. You know, it can be pushed by immoral things like immoral actions or immoral people, but suffering in itself is amoral. There's no there's no inherent evil in the suffering itself. It's tragic and it can cause a lot of emotional pain, but that pain can be used for growth, not just personal growth as like a human being, but also physical growth. I mean, the pain we endure when we go to the gym, right? It feels like, it feels agonizing, it feels painful, but at the end of the day, it makes people stronger, faster, more resilient. I mean, calisthenics in particular are some of like one of the most painful, and I say painful, but I don't mean like agonizing, like oh my god, I'm getting my guts ripped out kind of agonizing. But calisthenics is really painful to do and very difficult. But once you master it, you are just, I can't even describe the things that you can do when you're a master at calisthenics. I mean, you can push off of anything. Have you seen those videos of people doing calisthenics and they're just doing these poses that you didn't even think the human body was possible? That's all thanks to the endurance and the pain that comes from exercise in calisthenics. So, in a way, that's why I never found the whole "if God real, why bad thing happened" thing a convincing argument, because it assumes that suffering is evil, which no, fundamentally disagree with that notion. I think it's subjective mostly, not always. I mean, when experiencing the death of a family member, for example, I think that is a little bit touchier to talk about, but it can still help you grow as a person. I think it can help you become more resilient. I don't think it's good that people suffer necessarily. Again, it's a touchy subject to talk about, and I don't have the full vocabulary to explain it, but it can help. It can help, and many people do. Many people grow. Many people learn because of those tragic things that happen. Like, especially, I mean, just look at soldiers who get through PTSD, for example, of seeing their comrades being blown to smithereens. I mean, yeah, like that stays with you. But like, if somebody's going through something similar and having a breakdown, the people that went through can be there for them and help them grow and help them, you know what I mean? So I hold a more optimistic view of that kind of thing, despite my cynical nature, because I can be pretty cynical. But yeah, back to Superman. It just, there is no synergy between the God-Man archetype because he is so detached. So the problem is that he is detached, and he's going to claim that it's not realistic, that it is realistic, but it's not.
And had to constantly deal with the feelings that he doesn't fit in, which a lot of us can relate to ourselves. I mean, he asked both of his fathers at two different points in the film why he's so different. Once when he's a kid,
You gotta do this to me.
and once when he's an adult.
Why am I so different from that?
Which emphasizes that at no point in his growth from a child to an adult to come to terms with who he is. So yes, it's different to the widely accepted depictions of the character we see. But when you take into account that realistic take on Superman, you start to understand why Clark is not a bubbly, outgoing person, but instead someone who's more reticent and reserved, which is pretty realistic in itself, in a sense, because we as humans become adults, I mean, we automatically become these hackers that forget the struggles of our past, and it's
okay, but that assumes that automatically, his presupposition right now is that if you struggle a lot growing up, you're not gonna grow up to be bubbly. That's a slippery slope, right? That's a not a slippery slope. It's a non sequitur. Just because you didn't have a happy past doesn't mean you're not gonna grow as an optimistic person. I mean, I know Pete, like one of my friends in the army, like he had a very troubling past, and yet he's like a golden retriever, a human golden retriever. That's the best way I can describe him. He's like a human, Perrito from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. That friend of mine, that's him. I love him, but that is him. That is who he is. He went through all this like traumatizing stuff, and then he just looks at you with the biggest smile on his face, no thoughts behind those eyes, just pure childlike joy, right? He thinks everything is like he knows that things are hard. He knows that things are terrible nowadays, but like he's still full of whimsy and like, and this is just like from personal experience. I know like mathematically people like that must exist because there's like 8 billion of us right now, but like even from personal experience, that kind of person does exist. So just that premise alone, like it's realistic, not necessarily. Like it's not an either or. Like it's not an either or.
Clear to see Superman in these movies carries those struggles with him to adulthood, and when you compound this with the fact that these films need heavy.
Hold on, because the video is doing a thing.
Understand why Clark is not a bubbly.
The video is doing something weird. Hold on. Because it's jumping ahead. It's jumping ahead. Hold on.
Zack Snyder made me love Superman. Now, over the past few days, I've been rewatching most of the Superman movies. You name them, Superman.
Okay, so it was like the 2-minute mark around that area.
Itself, in the sense that just because we as humans become adults doesn't mean we automatically become these happy-go-lucky figures that forget the struggles of our past.
That's weird.
And it's clear to see Superman in these movies carries those struggles with him to adulthood. And when you compound this with the fact that these films lean heavily.
Okay, so it is skipping the audio a bit.
Lead had to mask who he.
Simple example, look at it, any happy Venezuelan. True. 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 So true. Okay, so it seems like the video is jumping. I can't fix it any other way, so I'm just going to let it play until we reach the point where we were earlier, and I'm just going to talk over it. So, I have been wanting to do like a theological deconstruction of Snyder's Superman, and just Superman in general, because I think not a whole lot of people really want to talk about that, because I don't know why, honestly. Not that many people, like, they say it, like whenever there are people praising these movies, they say it, but they don't talk about it. They don't go deeper into what it means, and it's usually just very, very simplistic reads of the Bible, and also just it's always I can always tell that it's either people who never read the Bible or it's Protestants, specifically like low church or non-denominational people. Or just people that just don't have any understanding of the Bible, or symbology or typology, anything. Now, I'm not qualified to talk about it yet, but I am getting there. I am studying. So, and it's not for this too. Like, one of my biggest mistakes is trying to treat the faith like an intellectual assent, which it's not what I'm trying to do. I did accidentally fall into that trap though a while ago, but you know, it is something that I am considering applying to my media, my criticisms, just how people look at archetypes that originate from the Bible. So it is something that I am trying to improve upon. Yeah. And then in chat, who asked? Me. I asked. Plus I love you. Do care, did ask, plus I love you. That's me. It's been a while. I didn't know God was a LARPer. Well, I mean, according to this movie, he is. According to this movie, yeah, yeah.
At no point in his growth
Okay,
from a
we're
child
back.
to an adult has he been able to come to terms with who he is. So yes, it's different to the widely accepted depictions of the character we see in most media. But when you take into account that by all metrics this is a realistic take on Superman, you start to understand why Clark is not a bubbly, outgoing person, but instead someone who's more reticent and reserved, which
He's just asserting these things at this point.
is pretty realistic in itself, in the sense that just because we as humans become adults doesn't mean we automatically become these happy-go-lucky figures that the struggles of our past.
Who says that? Have you guys ever met anybody that says that or believes that? I have never met anybody that believes that. Who believes that? Who is he arguing against?
And it's clear to see Superman in these movies carries those struggles with him to adulthood. And when you compound this with the fact that these films lean heavily into the godly aspect of being Superman, it's really clear to see that Zack Snyder created a character that's not something to be glorified, but rather something that comes with an extreme amount of stress and pressure. Instead of
But then he's glorified in the movie by fangirls, and also just treated like an alien. I mean, okay, I will say this: those two things are not mutually exclusive. I will say he is praised at times, and he is criticized at times. It's like I would argue it's like an even 50-50 split of people who love and hate Superman or are suspicious of him. I don't think people hate him. I think they resent him if he was responsible for the destruction of Metropolis, and also just people who are afraid of him, and also just racist against aliens, which is good objectively. The cynicism of Snyder fans never fails to astound me. I think it just originates from Snyder himself. I think that's where it originates from. Also, hi, Braden. Hi, Pookie.
being seen as a symbol of hope, he's portrayed as a god amongst men, which is a recurring theme throughout the movies.
God bends to my will.
He's worshipped as opposed to being applauded when saving people, and he's constantly condemned publicly. And to be honest, that's what I admire about this adaptation, because it constantly gets us to remove our comic book lens and view things from the perspective of reality.
Those two things are not mutually exclusive.
Which in my opinion adds to the sense of nuance and relatability. For example, one of my favorite scenes from Batman vs Superman and comic book movies in general is the Gods Among Us scene. I believe it perfectly encapsulates the isolation that comes with being Superman, an almost mythological being whose powers sets him apart from humanity, yet is still expected to answer to the very people he protects.
Yes, because he was raised by them. He's lived there for 33 years, which according to symbolism is actually the same year. It's actually how old Jesus was when he was crucified. But yeah, he does need to answer to them. If he cares about them, if he loves them, it makes sense to answer to the humans. I mean, he's here to guide people, to lead people, according to Jor-El. Like, they will stumble and they will fall, but in the end they will join you in the sun. He is supposed to serve them in whatever way he can. So, like, yeah, that's not really, again, like, does he not want to? Like, he said earlier that Superman was at peace with who he was after he met Jor-El, after he learned where he comes from. Apparently, this guy earlier said that he was at peace with that. But then in BVS, he just begrudgingly saving people. I don't... Okay. Alright. Like, oh no, but the weight of the world... Dude, why does he care what they think? Genuinely, why does he care what they think? What is so important about what they think about him that he feels the need to ruin his own mood for it? Right? Like, the people that he genuinely cares about, like Martha and Lois, they love him. And it's like... the two people he cares about the most. Like, they respect him, love him, and will comfort him, and will give him advice when he needs it. Like, why does he care? He's all powerful. Like, they can't hurt him. Oh no, but Rooney, they can hurt his feelings. He's a grown man, dude. He's a grown 33. Come on. Based Rooney for making fun of the Masonic number magic. I just assumed it was just like, you know, basic bitch numerology. I didn't think it was Masonic. I mean, if it is Masonic, then yeah, I will absolutely double down on that. Like, yeah, screw that. But I didn't know that it was. Anyway.
The savior character actually comes to Earth. We want to make him abide by our rules.
Was at the same time also placing an emphasis on how the world would actually react to someone like him, which isn't the universal admiration we usually see in most adaptations, but instead overwhelming fear and worldwide division.
Must there be?
Wasn't there like some speculation and skepticism around Superman even in the Christopher Reeves movie? I'm pretty sure there was, what? Right? Like initially, and then it started evolving into like, you know, recognition and adoration, right? I think. I don't know. I don't remember. Someone confirmed that for me in chat.
A Superman.
That his parents were apprehensive about from the get-go. Another criticism I often hear on this adaptation of Superman is that he apparently acts like it's a burden for him to save lives, or he doesn't care about saving people, which also doesn't hold up in the slightest. Because the few moments we see Clark visually distressed in Man of Steel, it's actually when he's saving lives, believe it or not. Not to mention...
And then he doesn't do it again. He doesn't do actions that would make him... He doesn't do anything that could imply that he's struggling to save many, many people, and it's a mental burden for him. He doesn't do anything of the sort. So, like, yeah. I mean, here, he saves the pilot, but then Namek comes along and starts whacking him, and then that pilot just is never heard from again. And then the military starts firing in both directions at each other, while they're trying to hit both Superman and Namek, which, like, you can already see that he's bulletproof. Why are you trying to shoot him if he's bulletproof? Yeah, Minecraft World says, yeah, there was, primarily during the montage of Superman saving people in the first movie. Okay, so there was. Which, I mean, makes sense. Sure. It does make sense. So, like, why is this unique to this Superman, is what I want to know. Is it because it has a darker color palette and has more serious music? Is that it?
In the fact that he makes a conscious decision to reveal himself to the world for the first time when Zod threatens humanity, or even when he sacrifices himself to kill Doomsday.
Which, by the way, did not need to happen. I mean, the way they set up that entire confrontation was completely retarded. So, if I remember correctly, because it's been a while since I've seen BVS, if I remember correctly, it's... So, Batman throws the spear away. Lois takes the spear, drops it in a pool. Why does she do that? Who knows, right? I mean, I guess the logic is that, oh, because Superman is weak to kryptonite, she's trying to get it as far away from him as possible. Like, sure. And by then, they don't even know that Doomsday is a thing, so... sure, I guess. And then what happens is Lois stays in that area for God knows how long until the fight requires her to go back and try and retrieve the spear. And then debris just happens to fall on her on the pool, and then she gets stuck there and almost drowns. Which, again, why did she stay there? It's a fight amongst gods. Why are you there? And then Superman grabs the spear, right? And tries to fly it into, what's his face? Doomsday, right? Problem. Wonder Woman's sword can already cut through Doomsday's skin. Like, she cut off his arm, and she sliced up his face. So couldn't Wonder Woman's sword pierce through the chest? Another thing. Wonder Woman could have also used the spear, because she's not Kryptonian and she knows that she's not Kryptonian. Why didn't Superman give the spear to her? And unironically, Batman could have also done it. He could have shot the last canister of kryptonite at Doomsday Face. This is something that how it should have ended did. They say it's his he. I'm not pronouncing it hissy. It's hishy. So what Hishy did in the how Batman v Superman should have ended. So Batman shoots the kryptonite canister at Doomsday's face, and then spears Doomsday, and Doomsday dies like that. That would unironically be a viable option. Like, that's a viable option. So Superman's sacrifice didn't need to happen. It was like, but the only reason why they did it is because, oh, Doomsday is there, and the tradition is that, oh, whenever Doomsday is present, Superman must die, because Superman is the one that dies to Doomsday. Doomsday kills Superman, so yeah, look, everybody, we adapted the death of Superman. Whoop-de-doo. Forget kryptonite. My weakness is blood tonight. My weakness is kryptonite. Blood. Oh my god. It just clicked in my head. Blood tonight. Oh man. You seen that episode of Space King with the blood coagulators? Like, and remember, Captain, be positive. I wish I had that clip. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get that clip. Be positive. But yeah, stupid sacrifice didn't need to happen. So.
That's why I think it's disingenuous when Henry Cavill's depiction gets compared to characters like Homelander or Brightburn, because not only do those characters lack any sort of empathy,
your Uncle Noah passed away. He's gone. Okay.
for comparison, straight up disregard the fact that Cavill's adaptation of Superman is actually pretty humble and emotional when you look past the fact that he doesn't walk around with a smile plastered on his respective movies.
So he responds against a claim with an assertion and assumes and just acts as though it's argumentation. Dialectically, that sucks, but also the argument presented is just false because Superman murdered babies. He committed genocide. Right? See, if I had a nickel for every time that Superman committed war crimes in a movie, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. The first time was in Man of Steel. The second time was in Superman 2025, believe it or not. In 2025, he came close the first time, like in the first scene, like when he gets interviewed by Lois. And then the second time, he is an accessory to a war crime because Hawkgirl just killed a sovereign elect. Right? She killed Netanyahu. Basically. Hawkgirl literally just killed Netanyahu. That's basically the Baravian president's character. He's Netanyahu. Anyway.
For example, I love the way after years of not knowing where he belongs, discovering his origins brings a quiet sense of peace, especially in the way he opens up to his mother about it.
Oh, okay, so I got this part wrong. He doesn't say it before, he says it after. But I'm still right about the basic argument.
Who?
My parents.
Also, what an asshole thing to say. Like, hi, mother who raised me on Earth. I have found my parents. Like, she didn't raise you. Okay. 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 I mean, sure, I guess, but you couldn't have, like, said, oh, Mom, I found my biological parents. Something like that. Something like ease the... I don't know. This is something that bothers me. Like, why does he say, hi, Mom, I found my parents?
My people.
When he's being chastised on the news, that's also the person he turns to first, simply because that's where a sense of grounding comes from. And when Martha is being threatened by General Zod, you full of intensity and rage from him that we hadn't seen before.
You think you can threaten my mother?
The scene... Oh, by the way. Imagine seeing that. Like, that's the last thing you see. This is ominous with this background too. It looks very ominous. Like, you can vaguely see the silhouette. You're about to be punched in the face. Anyway, so the scene where Zod goes, "Where is the codex?" So the structure of it also makes no sense. So Feora Ul opens up the ship, the pod that Superman came in, looks at it once, doesn't inspect it, flies out of the barn. She goes, "Oh, it's not there." She didn't even look. Like, we know that it's not there, but she didn't even look. And then Zod gets angry, flips the truck into the house, and goes, "Where's the codex?" Like, my brother in Krypton. That codex could be inside there. We know that it's not, but you don't know that. You didn't think to check first. It's like it almost comes across as like he read the script in advance and he just knows that it's not there. Which, as a general, like, no, that's dumb. He would check a lot more thoroughly. I think threatening to kill Martha if she doesn't let him inspect the house, I think it would be like a lot better and could actually justify the rage in Superman, until he leads the fight straight into populated areas, which kind of undoes the justification. But let's continue.
Have rarely seen since, which just to me reinforces how much he really cares about the people around him. Now, my next points are about to be interesting because I've had a long think about them. I'm a really big fan of Superman's powers in the DCEU and the destruction that comes along with it.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
He loves the destruction that comes along. All right, let's see how he tries to justify this.
Wait, hear me out. Simply because I believe it worked for the story that was being told.
Okay, it works. It just works, you guys. It's that Todd Howard argument. It just works. You know, I don't like it when people say that. I don't like when people say, "Oh, it just works." Like, what works? How does it work? Why does it work? And then I'll usually get a plot description, not at all part of mechanics. Like, oh, we get it established that X thing is this or Y thing is that. Okay, well, like, does that make sense? Like, why is it like that? And would it and how does it, common sense, right? Laws of logic, causality. How does all of that apply to the X thing that is established and supposedly works, right? You don't get any answers to those questions. You don't get any. It is, and it works because it happened, and it's very vague. It's very ambiguous, and a lot of the time it's just post hoc rationalization. Like, it happened, therefore it makes sense. You know what I mean? And it's one of my least favorite arguments. Right up there with post hoc. This is what I would argue is within the same family of post hoc, which is one of my most hated. I think it is my most hated argument. Fallacy. It's my most hated fallacy when discussing media. I hate it with a passion. So.
But I'm going to preface by discussing my issues about the destruction first and foremost. I was not a fan at all of how Zack Snyder didn't have Superman acknowledge the casualties that had to have come along with the fight between him and Zod. I felt like Superman jumping over a truck that leveled the whole building was irresponsible and could have easily...
Another thing too, I felt like, no, you didn't feel like it. It was. You just recognized it. So you recognize, you saw it happen, and yes, it is objectively an issue. Like, apparently he cares about humanity, not enough to drive the fights away from the city, not enough to actively try and save civilians. I mean, okay, it's very difficult to have a fight where two invincible characters, I should have the clip right here, but I don't. I forgot. I'm sorry. I'll get it. But it is very difficult to have two invincible characters fighting each other and in a way that is like means something, because they're both as strong as each other, they're both as fast as each other, and they are both as durable as each other. Very difficult to do that without you resorting to executions. So how do you resolve that issue? Oh, you put innocent people in the way, and you have Superman struggle to save them. Like, Superman is constantly trying to hold back to minimize the collateral damage, but the other side is not holding back. So it's much, even though they're on equal footing, it's much harder for the protagonist to win the fight, because not only is he purposefully holding back to save people, he's actively trying to save the people that the opponent is actively trying to kill. But the thing is that Zod doesn't actively kill anybody. Like, he doesn't go out of his way to kill anybody until the very end. He just focuses on fighting Superman for as long as possible until the film decides that Zod needs to die, which is arbitrary. So it doesn't work. Me, when I get off my 8-hour shift and Zod throws my truck with my wife and son inside a Superman, and he flies over at Morgan while my truck explodes a Superman, or farms over my dead wife's ashes. You didn't need that apostrophe there. Snyder Superman is not very punk-cock. Shut up. Shut up. I will not tolerate such heretical talk in this church house of Snyder. Anathema to you, Braden. Anyway.
Easily have been fixed by having Clark listen briefly for heartbeats or quickly scan the building for signs of life before he jumps. However, what I am a fan of is just how godly Superman's powers feel in these films. The DCEU still has, in my opinion, the best on-screen depiction of his abilities, and while I'm a fan of other iterations, especially Superman 2025, which showcases a wider range of moves beyond the usual haymakers,
every time this version of Superman is presented on screen, I just feel pain. Every time I see Corn Sweats, I just feel pain. That movie's bad. Like, okay, people rightfully, criticize Man of Steel for being so dour and cynical and miserable. I get it, but it can be funny. It can be funny. I mean, Zod in particular. Like, where did you train? On a farm? That's funny. I'll argue that that's funny. With Superman, it's just like miserable. And like in the theater, like I thought that I liked it, but then I realized, and over time I realized, oh no, I wasn't having fun. I was just enduring. This entire time I wasn't having fun at all. I was just enduring it. Like, and then, oh, this is bad. Terrible. Oh man, we're gonna talk about Superman 2025 one of these days. We're gonna talk about Superman 2025 because oh my god, that movie is agony. Anyway, something, tell that to Zod snap neck. I actually watched that recently. Someone made an animation. I got sent. I got it in DMs, and I cannot fathom. Like at first, what's his face? Not Patrick Williams. What's his name? Chris Stuckman. He proudly declared, "I wrote it in like 5 minutes." And then when he got criticized for it, he was like, "Guys, it's stop it, all right? I only wrote it in like 5 minutes. I wasn't thinking." He was like, "I wrote it in 5 minutes, guys. I wrote it in 5 minutes, okay?" It was funny. I low-key think you hate fun. Man of Steel is fun. Why didn't he just fly around the world really fast to reverse time? Is Superman stupid? Is he stupid? No. Why didn't man fly around the world really fast to reverse time? Is he stupid?
I always felt like these films place a much stronger emphasis on just how otherworldly Superman's strength actually is. There's a real weight and intensity to everything he does, And his flight scenes are consistently accompanied by sonic booms and crackles of thunder.
I actually like that. Like, visually, I like that.
Kinda reminiscent of a speedster but just in air. And that's why the level of destruction that accompanied Superman in these movies was ultimately justified. Because with Snyder portraying...
It was justified because it was portrayed in a godlike way. You see what I mean? You see what I mean?
A realistic version, one who is seen as a god amongst men who's learning his craft. Not only does he have to emphasize the sheer nature of his power, he also has to have the destruction match that power too.
I understand that, but a lot of it comes at the expense of his character, so was it really worth it?
And let's not act like Superman is the sole cause of all of the destruction in these films.
No, he is. He actually... Oh, also perfect. I paused it at the perfect moment. Look at that. An eye staring into your soul. Someone should, like, draw a triangle there. Right? Huh? Drawing a triangle there. Yeah, no, like, the destruction comes at the expense of the character, and I wouldn't have a problem with it. I think it would be just I don't think it would have been an issue if Superman actively tried to minimize it despite his amazing, incredible godlike power, but he doesn't. It's like he doesn't seem to be holding back at all. He's not holding back at all, actually. He keeps the destruction there, killing millions. Also, fun fact, so a bit of a narrative coincidence that the World Engine just happened to be in Metropolis. I mean, could you imagine if the World Engine connected on one side of the ocean and then another side of the ocean? No collateral damage, right? You can't have the destruction there. But fine, we'll accept it for the time being. Superman goes to the World Engine in the Indian Ocean where there's no casualties that are going to be had because it's in the middle of the ocean. But then he doesn't go to the World Engine in Metropolis to try and minimize the casualties there. I mean, if he blew up the World Engine there in Metropolis, and like, sure, there would have been a lot of collateral damage and there would have been like a lot of deaths, but there would be significantly less deaths than if he just prolonged the beam to go. So, like, I don't, he, like, okay, it's kind of like how in World War II, like, yeah, the nuke would have killed a lot of people, but the fire bombings that the US was planning on doing would have killed even more. And also, just in the long run, it would have killed more people. So this is a similar trade-off, I would say, like a bit of a trolley problem right there that you could have Superman tackle, where he goes to the thing in the World Engine in Metropolis, destroys it there. Sure, people die, and he goes around zipping around, relocating people as fast as he can, zip, 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 like that, and still people manage to die. But he actually put in effort in actually saving people, which actually does justify further, in a more narratively cohesive way, everything that happens in BVS regarding people, you know, going on, putting Superman on trial. If he just went to the World Engine in Metropolis, not the one in the Indian Ocean. Alex says he needed to fight in a populated area because our Lord Snyder, in his infallible perfect wisdom, needed to give Superman a moral dilemma. Of course, of course, of course. Why killing babies is also a moral dilemma. Yes, of course, yes. Superman is pro-choice.
When you look at fights like Superman vs. Zod, or even when he's going up against multiple Kryptonians at once, the destruction isn't coming from pure recklessness. It's simply a realistic byproduct of godlike beings clashing. Yeah, you could argue that he could do more to minimize the damage, but the reality is, and there's that word again, he's constantly on the back foot in these situations.
No, he's not. In fact, in the Kansas fight, he has more of an advantage because Zod actually retreats when Superman damages his helmet. So I'm thinking, okay, well then why doesn't Superman go after the helmet and try and rip it off or try and damage it in some sort of way so that the Kryptonians they get stunned from the information and sensory overload, and it damages them and makes them vulnerable, and they're forced to retreat, kind of like what Zod did. He doesn't do that. He does body shots. He'll do the occasional face punch. He'll do the occasional face punch. That's true. But then he'll do body shots. He'll do body slams. And that's not going to do anything. That's not going to do anything. He needed to fight in a populated area. Okay, he already read this. I hate British accents so much, bro. True.
Most of the time coming up against stronger and more experienced fighters.
That wouldn't matter if he just damages the helmet. He doesn't need to be experienced to damage the helmet. He could literally just be scrapping. Just slap in a slap fight, and as long as he gets to the helmet and manages to damage it just enough so that the information overload can hit them, they're down. They're down for the count and they retreat. And then it gives you time to work on weaknesses. Right? Yes? No? You're not going to do that? Okay. Alright. Also, fun fact, Zod has a tentacle blade. If you guys remember, in the scene at the very beginning where Jor-El fights the Zod trying to stop the launch, he has a blade in his and for those of you that don't know, a tentacle blade is a concept in writing that was first introduced in Spider-Man 2, which is one of the issues with Spider-Man 2 where Doc Ock has a blade in his tentacle that he never uses to kill Spider-Man. Like, whenever he has opportunities to kill Spider-Man, he just never uses it. But yeah, that's what a tentacle blade is. A weapon or a thing that can kill a protagonist that a villain has, that is never employed. That is introduced but never employed ever again. It's kind of like a Chekhov's gun in a way. But yeah, he has that blade in his wrist, and he kills Jor-El with it. Never, ever does... And this is Kryptonian material. So you would think that Superman would be vulnerable to that kind of thing, in the same way that, you know, kryptonite is. But for some reason, Zod never uses it. So, like, what? Like, and the funny thing is that he, at the fight in Metropolis, this dumb retard that Zod is, he takes off the helmet. I'm not sorry. He takes off the armor that has the blade. If I've said helmet, I meant armor. Sorry. But he takes off the armor that has the blade, and he starts body scrapping with him when he has the blade right there. My God. He needed the Justice Gang to get both world engines. Don't forget to kill Netanyahu too, by the way. Gonna give you 10 tickles. There would be no sequels if Spider-Man died, Rune. See, but that's the thing. Don't introduce a tentacle blade. Also, if the tentacles were exclusively made for the sole purpose of trying to control the fusion core, why is there a blade there to begin with? Why do you have... The blades were... the tentacles were tools. They were not meant to be used as weapons. Why does it have a blade there? Now with the armor, the Kryptonian armor, it makes a lot more sense to have a blade because, again, this is body armor for battle. He's a general. He fights. It makes more sense to have it there, but then he just never uses it, and then he takes it off and never uses it again. So stupid.
Sometimes even outnumbered. It feels like he's surviving in the moment as opposed to dictating the outcomes. And I feel like if a lot of us were in Superman's shoes, unfortunately our priorities wouldn't be collateral damage, but rather
yes it would. What are you talking about?
a desperate urgency to stop said threats at all costs, which would in turn bring an end to the collateral damage. And that's what I love about Zack Snyder's interpretation of Superman. I acknowledge it's not for everyone. I think Christopher Reeve and David Corenswet are undeniably way more faithful. Like
Cornsweat, no. 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 I could go on a whole rant of Superman 2025, but I'm not going to. I already have a video on that topic. You should check it out if you haven't. Let's keep going.
Like I said, I think Christopher Reeve is the best adaptation, but Snyder grounds Superman in a way that constantly gets us to view the superhero genre in a completely different lens, and gives us an adaptation that constantly reinforced the notion, what if Superman was real?
Okay, so that was the end of the video by Unorthodox. So far, really bad defense. Not a very good one. Just a bunch of assertions so far, but it was fun. It was fun. You know, I always like. One thing I will say, I do like that he actually did acknowledge the destruction, and like Superman should be like a lot more responsible. I am happy that he acknowledged that. But then there's everything else, which is just, I'm sorry, it's dumb. Listen, Man of Steel is not a good movie. It's just not a good movie. I'm sorry. Like, it has a lot of cool moments. It has hype moments and aura, and arguably the best soundtrack of any Superman movie. There, yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. People call Hans Zimmer derivative. I've never seen Hans Zimmer derive anything from to make Man of Steel. And this is arguably one of his best scores, right up there with Dune and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But no, this movie's bad, guys. I'm sorry. The movie's bad. He has failed the Church of Snyder. No, he isn't part of the Church of Snyder. He is a sectarian. You must understand. This is what sectarian Snyderoids. That's the slur I was looking for. This is what sectarian Snyderoids believe. Right? But we, the Church of Snyder, the true Snyderites, we believe the truth. The truth of the Snyder Gospel. So, we will not be deceived by these heretical views. Flight is also the best Superman scene in history. True. So, how am I, Rune? How am I? I'm alive. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm alive. Yeah, no. Us, the true Snyder believers. Right? We believe the truth. And I'm running the joke into the ground, I know. Hans Zimmer derives from himself. I mean, is that a bad thing? Well, that just amounted to the effects are good. Most of it, yeah. And also just, the movie makes sense because it's realistic. And also this happens because it's realistic. And also this happens because it's realistic. It's just like, no. He's just asserting a bunch of stuff. It's not how that... I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. I will say this. I will gladly take Man of Steel over Superman 2025 any day. Because at least it can be funny. And it has a really good soundtrack. I would argue it's better than the 2025 one. And it's not just because I'm biased against Hans Zimmer, although I do love Hans Zimmer. It's just because there's more variety in melodies. Like, you get the whole, the da 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 da, and then it just keeps going and going and going, and it never finishes until that like one scene, and then it just keeps going again and again and again. It's just like, how dare you? It just again and again, like ba da 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 da. It gets annoying. It gets really annoying really quickly. I like the when he, what's the name? Is it, God, what's the name? It's not Look Up. I don't like Look Up. What's it called? Last Son. I really like Last Son. I think Last Son is my favorite. I also like Lex Luthor's theme. I think it's really good. But other than that, the soundtrack is just very meh. It's not bad, it's just meh. Where Superman has a ton, like Snyder Superman has a ton of leitmotifs, like unique. You get launch, you get terraforming, you get flight, which is the main one. You got Day of the Dead. You got Ow My Balls, which are all unique. And variations, like unique variations. So, and then it says all superheroes are just pagan deities. Reimagined Superman is sort of mixed between a fallen angel and Apollo. Superman, I would argue no. I think Superman is still focuses more on the messianic Christian part of himself. Now, other superheroes, I would agree. I would absolutely agree with other superheroes, but Superman, no. I think he's more messianic in nature. I think he's not that pagan. In concept. Because remember, it was Jewish people who actually made Superman. It was actually, I don't know if it was I don't remember if it was messianic Jewish people or if it was just, normal the ones that practice Judaism. I think just Jews at that point, like just Jews. So yeah, no. I would disagree with the Superman being that way. But others, I could see it. I don't know about Spider-Man though. I don't know about Spider-Man. I'd have to see the argumentation for that. Because Spider-Man's whole thing is like he's just a guy. But I can definitely see it for other superheroes. In fact, some of them are literally just pagan deities, like Thor, Zeus, Wonder Woman. Like I could definitely see it for the others and those that are like explicitly, oh yeah, no, this is a pagan deity, but not all of them. But enough of them are, I would say. But yeah, no, that was the video. Not a very good one. Not a very good defense of Man of Steel. Although, I think you don't have to defend Man of Steel. Just accept that the movie's bad. And you will be free. Buddy, it's all of them. No, I don't think it's all of them. I think it's only some of them. But I'll be happy to, like, if you gave examples, like, for example, characters like Spider-Man. I would love to hear the argument for Spider-Man. Or Blue Beetle, or Booster Gold, or the Flash. Oh, the Flash. Okay, I can see it for the Flash because what's the name of that Greek god? Hermes. I could see it for the Flash because of Hermes. Batman. I don't see it for Batman, to be honest. Martian Manhunter. I could see it, but I don't know which Greek god would that be, or Norse god, or any other. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know which god Martian Manhunter would be. I'm thinking. Red Tornado is a robot, so I highly doubt that, but I could see it probably. I don't know about Red Tornado though. I like Red Tornado, by the way. He's one of my favorites out there. In the DC, he's a man. Okay, because back when I was a kid, I was super obsessed with tornadoes. Then I found out there was a superhero that was all about tornadoes. Like, oh my god, this guy's the coolest thing ever. I barely saw anything with him. He was barely there. Like, dude, I want to learn more. I never got to the comics though. I want to learn more about this guy, but I never had access to comics, so I didn't actually read. So my introduction to Red Tornado was Young Justice and Batman: Brave and the Bold. Those were my introductions to Red Tornado. Never got to see him though, and because I so seldomly saw him, I just, my interest fizzled out. Superman is like Moses, Samson, and some Greek gods sprinkled in. Moses, I don't see Moses. Samson, I don't see Samson either. No, I don't see Samson. And Samson's not a god either. So, some Greek gods. Not Zeus. Definitely not Zeus. Because the Greek pantheon is like gods of specific attributes, right? Because Poseidon is okay. I can see Poseidon in Aquaman. I can definitely see it. Again, the Flash, Hermes. But trying to think. I don't think like for the Greek pantheon Superman, I can't see it. I can't see it. Spider-Man is more like a general transhumanist figure where he gets his powers by genetic mixture or technology. In origin, sure, but the main thing about Spider-Man is that he's just a guy. He's just normal, and he acts normal. He is as normal as you could possibly get, and he's probably like among the weaker ones in the superhero roster. So, in origin, sure, but as like the general aspect of who and what Peter Parker is, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure. But that's a conversation we can have in my server, which, by the way, if you're not part of the server, you can join it if you want. No pressure. I'm going to call the stream here, though, because there's nothing left to talk about. Superman 2025, bad. But Man of Steel 2025, also bad. Personally, I would rather have Man of Steel, because at least it's fun. It has a better soundtrack. And also, visually, it's just better. And yeah. Thank you for watching those that did. And yeah, no, I'll just plug myself in. Mr. Black is my music channel, so if you want to hear my music, it's right there. I'm moving all of it over there. Patreon, tier 1 is $1, and it unlocks everything, $1 a month. Every other tier is just if you want to support me, and if you just want to, if you feel generous. I don't really do much with tiers. Because again, tier 1 unlocks everything. So, and yeah, Buy Me a Coffee is up there as well. And I will catch you all in the next stream. If in the next stream is next week and things go well for me, which I don't know that they can, but if they do, then it will be all about Invincible. Hopefully. I said last time it was gonna be Invincible, but then the Snyder video came up and I was like, you know what? No, Snyder takes priority. But then I couldn't do it for the last few weeks, so I'm just gonna, now that this is done, we can focus on Invincible Season 4. Because we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Invincible Season 4. So, hopefully, we, fingers crossed, are going to be talking about Invincible. So, in the name of the Snyder, the Goyer, David Goyer. David S. Goyer. My God. Oh my God. I knew it was gonna slip. In the name of the Snyder, the Goyer, and the... I can't stop thinking about it anymore. David S. Goyer. I can't stop thinking about it anymore. David S. Goyim. Okay. In the name of the Snyder, the Goyer, and the Deborah Snyder, may you all have a blessed afternoon, and cut to black.
Our Snyder in DC, Zachary be thy name. Let thy director's cut come, thy vision be done, on earth as it is in DC. Give us this day our daily slow-mo, and forgive